"No, go the other way," shouted Mac. But Mighty was already pulling them past the fork. Mac was cross. The next time they came to a fork in the track, Mac wanted to go the other way again. "This way," he puffed, and he pulled Mighty back to the junction. And then pushed them back up the other line. Now Mighty was cross. They puffed through the mountains, and whenever they came across a junction, Mighty would push one way, then Mac would pull the other. The holidaymakers were having a very bumpy ride. They spilt their tea and their buns went flying. But Mighty Mac pressed on. Then there was trouble. They had arrived at a dead end. The holidaymakers had a look around. "This isn't a campsite," said one of the holidaymakers. "It's not even a nice place for our picnic," said another. "This is your fault," puffed Mighty, and he pushed back towards Mac. "Yours," huffed Mac, and he pushed back even harder. The holidaymakers watched as Mighty Mac bumped backwards and forwards. "Stop!" called the holidaymakers. "You're going to cause an accident." But it was too late. Mighty pushed Mac as hard as he could, and the carriage crashed into the rocks. First one rock fell, then another rock. Soon, lots of rocks came tumbling down. The track was blocked, and they were all stuck. "We'll never get to the campsite now," moaned the holidaymakers. And it was all Mighty Mac's fault. They felt terrible. It was getting late. The holidaymakers were working hard. They were trying to get the coach back onto the rails. Then, with a mighty heave, the holidaymakers lifted the carriage back onto the track. Mighty Mac was watching the holidaymakers. "When the holidaymakers work together," hooted Mighty, "they lifted the heavy carriage onto the track," tooted Mac. Then they had an idea. "If we both work together," puffed Mighty, "we'll be strong enough to push those rocks out of the way," huffed Mac. So Mighty Mac rolled up to the rocks and pushed and pushed. The rocks rumbled. Then they rocked until finally the track was clear. The holidaymakers cheered. Mighty Mac was ready to go. They could see the flag flying high above the campsite. Then they remembered what Thomas had said. "Look where you want to go," puffed Mac. "Then follow the track that will take you there," chuffed Mighty. "Off we go," they whistled together. Mighty Mac puffed up the mountains. And soon they arrived at the campsite. The holidaymakers were very happy, and Mighty Mac was very proud. "You know, Mac," wheezed Mighty, "when we pull together and work together, we can be a very useful engine," whistled Mac. And they set off happily back down the mountain.